My name is Jordan Croft. I'm 17 years old, and I'm an upcoming senior at Age Parker High School here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm part of the Legacy Youth Leadership group. And what we do is we're a group of students that learn more about the civil rights movement, things that happened while African Americans felt that they should gain the rights that they deserve to have. And after we finish our program, where we learn leadership skills, how to speak up, how to speak fluently, and to actually gain people skills, we go into the galleries that are upstairs here in the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, and we begin to give tours to the people that come around.
Now, when I was speaking with you folks yesterday, there's also a component to this program that talks about universal human rights. What connection do you make between civil rights here and universal human rights?
Well, with universal human rights, there's the issue of people in Birmingham, actually, who would go out in their protest and sing songs like "We Shall Overcome," and things like this became recognized all over the world. And there was not only injustice in the United States, there was injustice all over, especially the Tiananmen Square issue, where university students were found singing "We Shall Overcome."
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of other places, such as Darfur, has recent issues there. The anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, and other issues along that line. It comes from all over. It's not just one area. People all over the world feel that if they can have their rights, we should have ours as well.
Right. Based on the Universal Declaration.
Yes.
And yesterday when we were in discussion, you made a number of points about, I think in a way kind of about America being realistic about what we do in the world. What do you think we ought to be doing in the world? You're a young man, 5, 10, 20 years out. What kind of things should we be focusing on?
Well, for the United States, right now we should really be focusing on how we stand in the world, because our reputation in the world is starting to become different from what it was in the 1900s. In the 1900s, people felt that the United States was a place that you could come to for almost anything. It was land where you can come in, make a wonderful life for yourself. Mm-hmm. And as time progressed, even after the civil rights movement, people began to believe that the United States wasn't so great, and that reputation that we were upholding was falling. So I think that the United States should really be working on helping with other countries, helping other peoples to raise our reputation, and not so much try and bring glory upon ourselves, but to bring equality to those other countries who feel that way.
So you think that part of the goals that we pursue abroad should be maybe more fair economic system, or how do you, when you say more equality around the world, what are the elements of that? What do you see as doing concretely?
Well, some of the things that I see the United States could be doing. The United States, we take advantage of the fact that we have a higher currency than a lot of other countries. And a lot of countries see the United States that way, that we take advantage of things, and we raise our standard of living very often. And that's leaving a lot of other countries who feel that they should be up there too, that's leaving them far behind. And as well as other countries that are becoming stronger and stronger, and the United States claiming itself stronger and stronger. When we get to that point where we actually, our currency and our education systems and workforce started to fall, we became very upset about that. We thought that we deserved things that the whole world should have deserved. Mm-hmm. So on the United States part, it was just a small bit of selfishness, if you ask me.
Okay. So in your sense, that there ought to be values underpinning whatever we do. It sounds like from what you're saying,
yes.
In whatever we do, and I know your group is talking a lot about Darfur as well as an example of where America could lead with its values. Tell me about what you think we ought to do there. Or situations like Darfur, atrocities, where there's atrocities.
With situations like Darfur, that's something that country's government would have to solve. But there should be a point where people have to realize all over the world that if your government is causing this problem, then there has to be an intervention within a number of other countries to convince them that they need to stop. And at some point, you're going to get to the point eventually where that country just won't cooperate with anyone. And that's when you have to make your hardest decisions. Do you want to go in and invade and possibly affect your economy, your way of life, and everyone else's way of life as well? Because even though people support their government in these other countries, they may not support the way that they're going about certain things. Like even here in the United States, people here, we support our country, and we're always going to support our country, but not all of us support our government. With issues in China and Japan where people are being denied their rights over there, people are saying you have to change the things that you're doing because your people want this and you're denying them of these things. And governments are trying to get into a power struggle. And they continue to fight for power. They're neglecting what their citizens need. Their citizens move away from them if they can, and this causes a bad reputation for your country in a whole. So other countries would more than likely come in and take that from you.
It seemed like one of the points yesterday one of your colleagues made about the world doesn't want us to be the policeman, and I think you echoed a similar thought, and a number of people in your group said that cooperation was key. Tell me a little bit about that. Is there what about us, even though we have these values, how do we work with other countries to improve standards of living or values and that sort of thing, and yet not impose on them?
Yes. I think the United States takes great pride in being able to be a superpower in the world, but we have to remember that even though we are a superpower in the world, we have to respect those other countries. Because the United States isn't going to be the most powerful forever. No country has ever been the most powerful forever. And the United States has to realize that, and realize that even though you are the strongest, you can't solve everything. Everything can't be solved by one country, and that's where you have to have connections to other countries, other great countries, other smaller countries, to show that you're not in charge of everything. Because if a country thinks that you're in charge of everything, when something terrible happens in the world, it's going to come back to you. And that's going to affect your country even more than what it already has.
Now, you're too young to have been here for the civil rights, for the major advance of 1963 here in Birmingham. But you are going to be the generation that faces a very different world than your parents or even your grandparents face. How do you think we will adapt? How do you think your generation will adapt? How do you think my generation will adapt to, as you say, the U.S. perhaps not remaining on top, or even remaining on top, but having to work with other countries? How do you think we'll adapt to change like that?
I think the United States right now, I don't even think we really have time to adapt. We have to make those changes now, whether we like it or not. Because even other countries in the world, the United States especially, we're destroying the world. And the things that we're doing are affecting the world in a very harsh way. And my generation, we're the ones who have to take on that responsibility. We're the ones who have to honestly realize that things that are going on now are truly affecting us, that we have to make a change. We can't continue doing the things that we're doing now. We have to come to agreements with other countries. Other countries have to come to agreements with us, and we have to work together in order to save our cause that we're here for.
Thank you, Julie.